Hello. Today we shall understand what are rational and irrational numbers. To understand this, what we need to do is we need to take up a few examples of fractions or numbers, and then we shall analyze what kind of numbers can be called as rational numbers and what are the other type of numbers which are called irrational numbers. Over here, let us start by taking an example. Say, for example, if I take, say, 1 by 2. We know 1 by 2 is equal to 0.5. If I take 1 by 3, it's 0.333 and it continues. But if I take square root of 2, this is equal to 1.4142135, and this also continues. Now, in the first case, we call it a terminating decimal. Terminating decimal. In the second case, it is non-terminating as it does not end. Non-terminating, but because the numbers are being repeated, it might be a single number or it might be a group of numbers. Non-terminating but recurring. And in the third case, we have non-terminating, non-recurring. That means the decimal neither terminates and nor it gets repeated. Now, in the first two cases, where either the fraction or the number is either a terminating decimal or if it is non-terminating but recurring, in these two cases the number is said to be a rational number. And in the third case, it is called an irrational number. And so, in the case of a rational number, we can always express it as some integer over another integer. So how do we write it? So we write a rational number, or we can start writing it this way: a number which can be expressed in the form of P upon Q, where of course Q is not equal to 0 and P and Q are co-prime numbers. Then the number is called a rational number. Now, in between I used a word co-prime. What exactly do we mean by a co-prime number? That is something you need to understand. We know what are prime numbers, but if two numbers do not have any factor common with respect to each other, they are said to be co-prime. Say, for example, if I have 16 over 25. Now 16 and 25, even though 16 is not a prime number, 25 is not a prime number, but between 16 and 25 we do not have any factor in common. So they are said to be co-prime numbers. Now what is the importance of using this co-prime numbers in between? Sometimes what happens is, it's given, is 2 upon 4 a rational number? Then we say no. Why? Because 2 and 4 have a factor in common, which is 2, and 2 by 4 can be simplified to 1 by 2. And that's the reason why it's important to use P and Q are co-prime numbers, or you may also use a statement like where the HCF of P and Q is 1. I mean, they don't have any other factor common. Okay, and any other number which is not a rational number is considered as an irrational number. Now, the set of all rational and irrational numbers forms the set of real numbers. So over here, remember one thing, Sometimes there is a question like, is a natural number a rational number? Yes, it is. Because if you have 4, it becomes 4 by 1. So we do consider all the natural numbers or anything else, or say integers, as all of them as rational numbers. So for you, all the rational numbers and all the irrational numbers are, together they form the set of real numbers. Normally, we consider anything which has a square root or a cube root and which does not have a final answer. Say for example, if I take square root of 2. So square root of 2 remains as root 2, and which is a non-terminating and non-recurring decimal. But if I take square root of 9, but square root of 9 becomes 3, so it is not an irrational number. So any irrational number is of the form which is either a square root, a cube root, or any nth root of a given number which does not have an answer as a natural number. I'm sure all of you follow this. Bye bye.